Good morning, I'm John from Accu-Slice. A customer recently contacted me about using the Accu-Wedge system without mounting it on the Accu-Slice Index table. The Accu-Wedge is designed to ride on this rail on the Accu-Slice system, and this rail mounts to the Accu-Slice Index table, which in turn mounts to your bandsaw table. But the question is, could the Accu-Wedge system ride on this rail and have the rail attached directly to your bandsaw table? So I'm thinking about it, it's probably doable, so I'm going to give it a try here today, see how it works. It requires drilling and tapping 2 holes in the bandsaw table, but that should be doable, so I'll be giving it a try. My preference is to use the Accu-Slice Index table for a number of reasons. Number one, it's easily removable from the bandsaw. It's just 3 offset cams that you loosen up and you can take it off in seconds, so it's not permanently mounted to your bandsaw table. Secondly, it's very versatile. The Accu-Slice system is nice for slicing thin boards or even slicing off thin sections on your segmented disc, to make accent rings for your projects. So it is versatile and very useful for a number of other applications. But in order to reduce cost, we'll see if we can mount this Accu-Wedge on just the rail. Because this Accu-Slice system is over $500, so it does add to the cost of all you want to do is make wedges. So let me give it a try. There are 2 important things that need to be considered. Number one, it has to be adjusted. This rail has to be adjusted such that the gap between this edge of the table and your bandsaw blade is between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch. Secondly, the rail must be permanently mounted to the table, and the distance between the edge of this rail and the bandsaw blade must be fixed to a set distance, and it must be perfectly parallel to your miter bar slot. And this may be a problem. It may interfere with the miter bar slot on your system. So let me start by removing the Accu-Wedge from the system. Now there's one other change that will need to be made, and that's this dust guide. This will either need to be shortened or maybe even remade to fit the table, because it's probably 1/4 inch too tall. Now this rail does have 5 holes in it, but I think just 2, depends how it aligns on the table, just 2 will be needed. And this is what I like about the Accu-Slice table, is to remove it, it's just 3/4 turn offset cams, and that's all that's needed to remove it from the bandsaw. So I determined that this rail needs to be 2 3/4 inches away from the bandsaw blade. That'll give you a gap of almost 1/4 of an inch. And it'll need to be parallel to the miter bar slot. Now this miter bar slot is right in the way, but depending on the bandsaw blade, I may actually be able to mount. Let me measure, see where it is. This is the Laguna 1412 bandsaw, and in doing the alignment here and checking it, I don't even need to drill holes in my table. These miter bar slots are T-slots. I can make a wedge to go in there and mount it right to the wedge. Okay, I just determined there's 2 ways to mount this rail to your bandsaw table. The first way I thought you could do it is by actually taking the rail and drilling holes into your bandsaw table, drilling and tapping the holes. You first of all need to use one of these center punches, to get the rail where you want it, and then go in and mark the position and then drill those holes into the table. This is the Laguna 1412 bandsaw, and my miter bar slot, the front edge, is exactly 3.5 inches away from the bandsaw blade. It turns out that distance is almost perfect for mounting this rail. If that distance was 4 inches or 3 inches, it wouldn't work, but 3.5 inches is a perfect distance. So I went to my junk drawer and I found these mounts that slide in these T-slots on the bandsaw table, and they have a 1/4 20 thread per inch hole drilled and tapped them in already. And I can just align these up and attach the rail to the bandsaw. So let me go and give it a try. I just need 2 screws. And then let's see how it fits. Now this dust shield is definitely too long. I had to take the dust shield off. So let me start by just taking the dust shield off. So let's see how our alignment comes out. You wouldn't know it. It's a 1/16 of an inch too far. Let me see if I can make new T-slot inserts that'll move it a 1/16 of an inch further away. Yeah, still, if I make some new T-slots and put some new holes in here, I can move it away a 1/16 of an inch. So I could create some pieces here. So I can offset, I can make 2 of these or re-drill these to offset the holes. So let me give that a try next. So I just modified these T-slots by moving this screw over 1/8 of an inch. So I have an 1/8 of an inch clearance now. So this should work quite nicely. So I did them both. I can always make something more permanent in the future if I completely remill these T-slots, but I just want to use what I had in the drawer, so I'll give these a try. So let's try it now. That just clears. That's perfect. I probably should move it over another, I think I moved it over another 1/16 of an inch, so probably about 3/16 of an inch over will do it, but that can be done. There's enough room there to do that. So let me try making a segmented disc and we'll see how it works. I have to lower my shield here a little bit, or my ramp a little bit. I just done my bending it a little bit. A little bit more. Let me get a board and we'll make some segmented wedges. Okay, I have some boards here, and I put my offset line down the one line on the edge, as I always do to keep these aligned properly. And now I want to make a disc that's going to be 4 1/4 inches in diameter. So I know my width of my disc needs to be 0.75 inches. So let me do my first cut to give me an edge. And I have it set to 18 segments per wedge, so I'll be doing 18 segmented disc. And again, tight against the fence and tight against the table. And I'll do my first cut. I like to lower my guides as low as possible, just keep them above these clamps. Okay, let's go. Ramp needs to be a little bit closer to the blade to avoid that from happening. Now I want a wedge that's going to be 3/4 of an inch long on this outside wide edge. Use my laser beam get the distance. And this is just the first time to estimate it. I'll do an actual measurement. So now I set my Accu stop against that edge, trying to keep it parallel to the table. And I can adjust it later if I need to adjust it. So let's do this first cut to see how close we are. Okay, let's measure this, see how close we are. I'm at 0.79, so it's a little bit too big. So all I do is loosen this black brass knob and turn this almost a half a turn. So I'll give it a try now. I'm at 0.76, so a little bit more. And once again, when I go from this fence to this fence, I like to just make sure the burr's off the edge. So let's go ahead and cut 18 segments. So there's 18 of those segments cut. Now what I want to do while I'm doing this, I want to make some discs with alternating segments. In other words, take one of these segments and one of these. So let me go and cut 18 segments from this board, and that'll give me enough to make two discs. So again, I like putting this lying down my board. And again, it's off center. I don't want it on center. I want it off center a little bit. So we go and cut 18 segments again of the same exact size. Okay, here I cut 18 and 18 segments. Now my rollers are starting to clog up. I could feel the resistance as it's going through. So let me go show that in the bottom, because they are, since I didn't have a dust shield on, they got curled up even more fast quickly. And you can see the dust build up on the rollers. That's the purpose of that dust guide, to prevent that from happening. And so you got to clean these, and you just clean them by wiping them down with a clean rag or cloth. That's all that's required. But ideally, I should have created a new dust shield for this, or modified the existing dust shield. But it does work. So let me go sand these as I've done in the past, and then I'll assemble it and show you the results. I just sanded the fuzzies and burrs off these segmented discs, and then I assembled it together into two discs. So two perfect segmented discs, 18 segments per ring. Cut on this Accu-Wedge system, mounted directly on the rail, which is directly mounted to the bandsaw table. So again, to answer the question, can the Accu-Wedge system be mounted directly on the bandsaw table without the Accu-Slice system? And the answer is yes. It can be done in two ways. It can be mounted in the miter bar slot with some special T-mount connectors, or you can drill holes in your bandsaw table and drill and tap holes in your bandsaw table, and then screw it and tap it into that. So I'll be making this available in the future as a new product addition to the Accu-Wedge. So I'll be making the Accu-Wedge system. I have to make a modified or a different type of dust shield, because it needs a dust shield. And I'll be making some custom T-slot connectors that are offset, so this will fit on the bandsaw table. So the special T-nuts that are with offset drilled and tapped holes will work on a bandsaw where the miter bar slot is exactly 3.5 inches away from the bandsaw blade. If the miter bar slot is different than 3.5 inches, if it's less than 3.5 inches or more than 3.5 inches, you have to drill and tap holes in your bandsaw table to be able to mount the rail. Another possibility would be able to fix some sort of system. We're using the T-slots on the rail to actually clamp it underneath the bandsaw tables. That's another possibility. But I do need to make, I'll design and make those T-slot connectors, and I'll do something to get a better dust shield so it fits this bandsaw table. So that's another project, and I'll be posting this on our website. It's an additional adaptation for the Accu-Wedge system in the near future. Again, thank you for watching this video. If you have any additional questions or concerns or comments, please give us a call or drop us an email. We're always glad to hear from you. And again, customers' ideas are what give us new applications and new ways to do things. So always looking for new ways to do things and new applications. So once again, thank you for your input.